Meteorological winter is just around the corner, with the calendar soon flipping over to December. And with a complex weather pattern expected to continue across the U.S., everything from winter storms to severe weather are very much on the table. What's the latest outlook and winter outlook look like? Find out in today's report. Hey everybody, welcome back to the Weather Nerds YouTube page. I'm meteorologist Greg Majeski, and before we get started, as always, I'd like to thank all the new subscribers to this channel, all 397 of you now. And for the 90% of you who have not quite subscribed just yet, please consider it. It'd be an honor to kind of help you out with your weather planning needs. Now, we're going to first start out by looking at the climate outlook that's going to take us into early December, and the 6 to 10 day outlook. Look at that. Bulk of the country definitely looking on the warm side. The only area that is looking at temperatures above normal is really down here in South Florida and, of course, Alaska. And that's very common. When you get cold in the continental United States, it gets pretty warm back up into Alaska. And this looks like it's going to continue right into the early portion of December. The 8 to 14 day outlook still showing the big bulk of the country looking at below normal temperatures going up till December the 3rd. And of course, this is as of November the 19th. Now, as far as the precipitation is concerned, what I'm seeing evolving here is your typical El Nino pattern starting to really establish itself here, where the northern branch is not very active. It is dry, as you see the very dry conditions there across the areas of the Pacific Northwest. Dealing with some dry weather, very below normal up here to the northwest. But a very active jet flow here across the southeast is going to keep things very wet as we look at the period November 25th through the 29th. And that trend basically continues straight into December the 3rd from days 8 through 14. Again, a very active subtropical jet stream that's going to keep a lot of wet weather, some weaker systems that are going to be flowing here across the south, and relatively drier conditions here across the Great Lakes, as well as up, of course, in here in the Pacific Northwest. Now, is this trend going to continue throughout the month of December? Let's take a look at the December outlook. So coming back and taking a look at what's expected for the month of December, which of course is the start of meteorological winter across the northern hemisphere, and we're expecting temperatures to rebound, although we're going to start kind of coolish going into the month. Right now, the outlook is calling for above normal temperatures, especially across areas of the eastern portion of the United States. And that has me a little bit concerned when you see that kind of warm up like that across the east. Very similar to what we're dealing with right now, is you get the opportunities where some cold air masses can still come down during that period, and that can set up the potential for severe weather, especially with the fact that you're still going to have an active subtropical jet. And that continues to show for December, as well as we're looking at above normal precipitation continuing across the southeast. Again, that's that very active jet stream that's expected to continue to flow here across the southeast. You get those little disturbances that ride up, so the above normal temperatures will continue across that area. And we're also looking at maybe a little here across the middle portion of the country in the plains. But other than that, things are looking to be pretty active, I think, for the month of December. So we're going to continue to watch those active weather patterns throughout the month. Let's go ahead and take a look at the North Atlantic Oscillation and see what that forecast is showing, at least here for the next 2 to 3 weeks. So one of the forecasting tools I use when I'm looking for a long-range forecast is I do look at the North Atlantic Oscillation, which kind of looks at the jet stream pattern across the country. So zooming in here, the first thing you're going to notice is we have a lot of red squiggly lines. What are those red lines? Well, the red lines are different forecast models. And what we're seeing right now is a pretty wide range here from basically 1+ to -3 as far as the overall pattern. Now, when it's in a negative mode, that's when we get the more active weather across the eastern two-thirds of the country. That's when you get your colder temperatures in here. So looking at the base kind of average here, it is below this line. You notice the solid line right there. That is a negative pattern, so thus the colder temperatures we're seeing and expecting across the United States up until December the 3rd. Now, after that, what the projection is that this will go into a positive mode, which means it'll be above that zero line, and we'll get warmer temperatures in the east and probably cooler temperatures and more active weather out toward the west as we go later into the month of December. Okay, let's go ahead and wrap things up. We'll take a look at the European model here for the next 10 days. So we're going to start off on the model look here from late in the day on Monday, taking you straight until the end of the month on the 30th. And one thing you're going to notice is a very active weather pattern, especially across the south. Most of the west is going to be fairly quiet. There's one little system coming out west that'll be diving southward, but other than that, really not a whole lot out on the west coast here for the next 10 days. So let's go ahead and step you through this as we're seeing the rain and thunderstorms across the southeast associated with this storm system here that'll be moving up toward the north and east, and that's going to cause some travel headaches, especially on Wednesday for the northeast. It's a busy travel day before Thanksgiving, obviously. So as we go forward into time on Wednesday, you can see the conditions going downhill there. Even snows across areas of Vermont, New Hampshire, and spreading across Maine. So by the time we head to Wednesday morning there, you're seeing some very stormy conditions here across the northeast. So some of the flight delays are not out of the question on Wednesday for the northeast. Now, as we step forward, as we go into Thanksgiving Day, Thanksgiving morning, not looking too bad. The Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade will be looking pretty good there. Now, we are looking at a little disturbance here across the Rockies that's diving down toward the south. It's going to provide some snows in here briefly. But then there's another system here across the Texas Gulf Coast that's going to be riding into the southeast once again as we go later in the day on Friday and into the weekend. So you're looking at Friday looking pretty wet there across the southeast. On Friday morning, I think by the weekend it should clear out. I should correct that. But we are looking at some snows across the Intermountain. Nothing too heavy here, but you're seeing some snows across the big areas of Utah and portions of Colorado and also Wyoming with the snows, even getting into Nebraska just a little bit there as we go through Friday morning. Now, stepping further again in time, as that low begins to pull up toward the northeast, you see the conditions going downhill once again with another system into the northeast, very similar to what we're seeing earlier in the week. By Saturday morning, you're seeing wet conditions and snows across the northeast once again, and looking at some pretty breezy conditions here back behind this. So you're seeing the snows and the rains across the northeast and snows for the interior here on Saturday. This upcoming weekend, as folks will be wrapping up their Thanksgiving Day holiday. And hopefully if you're flying out on Saturday, you're going to run into some delays again on Saturday for travelers with that big storm system in the northeast on Saturday, and should be clearing out by Sunday. So Sunday, travel day, a lot of folks coming home after the holiday, looking quiet for the moment. Still some rains down across areas of Texas and some pretty cold air here. You can kind of see this very cold batch of air here across the northern plains. Seeing some rains down here and maybe a rumble of thunder or two down toward Texas, as we're going to watch yet another system kick out of the south along the Gulf Coast. You see the rains increasing across Louisiana and the southeast as we go into Monday of next week once again, and just a little disturbance that's riding ahead of that, and then another one back behind it coming out of Texas again on the end of this 10-day going into Wednesday. That is on the 29th. So again, it is going to be a very active pattern across the southeast for sure. Definitely keep the umbrellas handy there. Most of you folks out in the west, for the most part, are going to stay quiet, especially from Washington State down through California, looking high and dry. You had that one little disturbance that'll bring some snows briefly for the Intermountain region, but the west looking pretty good. The southeast is going to continue to get inundated. Those drought conditions are going to get beat back pretty good here with this active weather pattern, and we're tracking the potential for at least two mild nor'easters, I'll call them, for the northeast over the next 10 days. All right, that's your outlook for now, guys. I appreciate you being a subscriber on this channel. If you could do me a favor, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, please consider doing so by hitting the subscribe button, as well as hitting that notification tab. That way you are alerted whenever I upload new content. It's a pleasure to serve your other needs and help me grow this page. You guys take it easy. We'll see you on the next report. Have a good day.